Time now to take our coverage coast to coast. And we start, ooh boy, with the Bucks. Damian Lillard scored 15 points in 17 minutes against the Pistons yesterday, Wendy, but Giannis Antetokounmpo did not play. Are the Bucks duo going to be a better combo this season?
By the way, they were really good last season when they were 41 and 22 when they played together. That is an awesome record. 44 and 21, I got it wrong. That's pretty good. Can they be better? Yes. But when they actually were healthy on the court together, which they were not in the playoffs, they did very, very well. This was not a failed pairing. It was one that didn't have the full season to gel.
I'm glad you got around to an answer because I wasn't sure where you were going yet there with that. All right, David, James Harden, your boy, 13 points and 8 assists against the Warriors on Saturday. Harden did say on media day that the Clippers team would have a whole lot of him. D. Dennis, what does that mean? A lot of Harden for the Clippers.
A lot of Harden, that means a lot of ball stopping. That means that he's going to have the ball. It's going to be the West Coast Rockets. Think about where the Clippers were about 9 months ago, where they looked like they were the hottest team in the league. Kawhi was playing, Paul George was playing. It looked like they could really take on the West. Now Kawhi's hurt again. Paul George isn't there. Russell Westbrook is not there, for better or worse. And now you have Harden, who's ball handling again, trying to figure things out in this next season.
So close, but so far away 9 months ago. All right, Dallas Mavs, y'all. Luka, full court shot.
Heave.
Yeah. Like, what? But here's where this gets fun. We got to check out the tweet from his
watch
teammate.
Lively after he makes it. Watch what Lively does.
Mm-hmm. So Lively was throwing the towel. Do we think that that's 100K followers on Instagram or likes, or what do we think that is?
I think the K is extraneous. There may have been a bet with a guy in a rookie contract at 8 for 100K.
Oh, man.
I bet you 100K that there was not 100K bet going on there.
All right, well, it must be nice to even theoretically toss that type of money around. But all right, let's get to more basketball. One of the biggest stories of the weekend took place in Charlotte when Karl-Anthony Towns took the court as a New York Knick. All right, Jalen Brunson, the handoff to Karl-Anthony Towns, a deep three-pointer. Early, it looks good. Knicks would lead by 3. This next highlight, Wendy, cat to the rim.
Yeah, he made a couple of threes early and then went to the basket, got to the free throw line too, showing his full offensive game.
All right, a little later, Brunson is going to collect this rebound, and the Knicks are off to the races.
Dunk it.
Does he?
There you go. Hey, man, get up a dunks. Look at that.
Little bounce. A little later, off the Hornets miss, Hart, love this passing.
Dunk it.
Guys, all the dunks in preseason?
You got to save those legs, man. Save those legs for regular season, man.
Bridges with the putback after missing the first layup. And then, this was a highlight. Precious Achiuwa, the swing. Miles, Deuce, McBride, all
Trace.
3 of those.
Trace.
Knicks win in Charlotte, 111-109.
I see that.
All right, so things you should know. Cat, the attempted three-pointers in his Knicks preseason debut. That's more than Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson put up all last year in the regular season. Granted, they're 2 different players, but it's important that you know that. And as the self-proclaimed greatest shooting big man in NBA history, what could it mean for the Knicks this season? Well, I think we already started to see the impact in just the first preseason game. All right, so let's go into some tape because, we want to take a look at some things. It's so important here that we look at the spacing that Karl-Anthony Towns creates. I'm going to pause this on the catch because you got OG Anunoby in this corner you can't see off screen. But immediately your eye is drawn to all of this activity. This particular play, Cat is going to go to the rim, but if the ball is to swing and there's to be action, you're going to drag all the defense, and it's going to create more lanes, in particular for Jalen Brunson, who we know is so unselfish and will find his teammates. This was that attack. So much room for activities, y'all, just courtesy of what Karl-Anthony Towns brings to the table. This next play, catching on this elbow extended. Now, later in the game, you saw some more actions with the screeners and such, but it's so important to note that this defender is going to have to play Cat honestly because he can put the ball on the floor, he can step out, he can dribble handoff, he can pass. He's got 4 potential shooters that are flanking him. On this one, he's going to make a good pass. It's preseason basketball, so the play doesn't end in a bucket, but you get the idea because that's what's important. The question remains. I need your takes on the Knicks and this new roster. Big time upgrade. What do you think their potential is, David?
Yeah, I mean, regular season, I think what we saw here, they're going to accumulate a lot of wins, basically because of what Karl-Anthony Towns does offensively. It takes a little bit of load off of Jalen Brunson. And what I was most impressed with was what you showed there, that interior passing, him on the post, getting the ball to open players, a lot of that off-ball movement on their first game. When they do that in the regular season, they're really going to be humming. My concern here with the Knicks, though, is playoff Karl-Anthony Towns. Which guy is going to show up? Tangibles, statistically, all that stuff, they look great. But when it comes playoffs, he's had a history of some bad performances. He only shot 24% from three against Dallas last year. We know a few years ago what happened with them in Memphis, where they blew all those leads, and a lot of that was on Karl-Anthony Towns. That is going to be the thing that I would like to see for him, improvement-wise, come playoff time when it comes for them making a deep playoff run.
I loved what I saw from Cat in this game because he's been with the team a couple of days. They had to wait for the trade to come out. He came out super ultra aggressive, shooting the outside shot. Go ahead and take that long shot. You better get up on that screen, boys. And then after that, drive into the basket. He only played a quarter and a half in this game. He was really, really good, really showing what he can do. And the thing that was really impressing me as I was watching the Knicks set up their offense, Cat starting so far out from beyond the three-point line, opening up the middle, three-point shooters in Anunoby and Bridges who can also put the ball on the floor. Josh Hart crashing to the rim for offensive rebounds. Guys, this offense is going to be a juggernaut watching this develop.
I got two things, because I agree. Let's stick with the offense. And in particular, one of the things that intrigued me when it went down is what does this potential pick-and-roll option look like between Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns?
One of the things I love about it is that Brunson can score from all three levels, okay? So when you come off the screen and you're dealing with Towns, you give him any space, medium, tight, or whatever, he can finish. He's one of the most dynamic guys coming off a screen in the league. Now, with Towns, you have a guy who can pick and pop or pick and roll. Everybody just assumes he's going to go for three. He can do more than that. The guys can easily put in 35 points in a game. And so when you add that, there's no way you're going to be able to defend that pick and roll with two guys. You're going to need a third player, and when they do, Jalen Brunson's going to pick you apart. And there's one more thing that I saw a little bit yesterday.
Tell us.
When Towns is out of there, and the lane is open, Jalen Brunson, when he goes to back down, we know that he likes to get into his perk mode, big body Brunson it. When that happens, he now is going to have the lane behind him. One of the things that happened with Dante DiVincenzo, he really learned angles. And the reason he needed angles was because they could play with an extra body on Brunson. They could bring the double team. How are you going to bring a double team on Brunson when you get Anunoby, Bridges, and Towns out there at the same time? You can't. So when I watched this Knicks offense yesterday, I walked away going, this could be the #1 offense in the league. It really could be if they stay healthy and they gel, which is going to take some time, but it could happen.
Yeah, I totally understand and see what you see in terms of the potential offensively. My thing is now going to be the defense, right? And I think it takes a little bit of time. I think Karl-Anthony Towns has the ability to be a centerpiece in the Tom Thibodeau-style defense, but we will certainly have to see as things continue to gel. Now, speaking of Karl-Anthony Towns, obviously his arrival already adds some depth or adds additional depth in the Eastern Conference when you talk about centers, right, Wendy? So fresh off of your Olympic coverage, Wendy cooked up a towering list of the best centers in the East. So, Wendy, take it away.
Live from Paris, as you can see, the one and only Mr. Brian Windhorst. How are the beignets over there?
Oh, bonsoir, mes amis. It's a wonderful time here in Paris. Just for you, Christine, I asked him to light it up before I left. Sadly, they don't actually make beignets in Paris. We won't tell Chene about that. That's okay. All right, now number 5 was a tough one.
Okay.
I'm not trying to offend anybody in October. I went with Jared Allen of the Cavs because for 2 years in a row, they've been the number 4 seed because Jared Allen has been so good defensively. I think when, other than Donovan Mitchell, he's their most valuable player. When he's out, they've struggled a little bit. So with respect to Brook Lopez, with respect to Miles Turner, I did this with, kind of a tie, but Jared Allen with an edge because of their seeding last couple years. All right, number 4, the NBA champ, Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis is such a difference-making player for the Celtics, stretching the floor with those long three-pointers. You really can't defend him on the outside. And then what he can do defensively, he just made such a difference for them instantaneously. I'm telling you guys, the finals were decided in games 1 and 2 last year when Porzingis made those big difference-making plays. He's obviously going to come back later this year, but he's on that list. Number 3, now he is lower than he probably should be, with reason. I got Karl Towns here. Now, if we talk about this again in a couple of months, I'm not going to have Karl third. This is obviously an all-NBA player. Let's see how he does playing in the East a little bit. I think he's going to get challenged defensively, as of course he has been throughout his career. He has got the potential to be right there as an Eastern Conference All-Star, but I'm going to put him third, mostly because of the guy that I have second here, who gets underrated most of the time. So if anything, if I'm guilty of overrating him, so be it. Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat, who his most important value is that he can guard 1 through 5 on the defensive end of the floor. I voted for him for Defensive Player of the Year a couple years ago. He finally made first-team All-Defense last year. He shouldn't be off that team for a while, if you ask me. And then he's actually well-rounded out his offensive game more and shot some threes in the Olympics this year. Number one, the MVP. Will Joel Embiid be healthy come playoff time? It's probably one of the top 2 or 3 questions in the entire NBA season. We know that when he is healthy, he is unstoppable. Last year, before that freak knee injury in Denver, he was averaging more than a point a minute. We hadn't seen that since Wilt Chamberlain. If he is healthy, he is devastating and dominant and has earned that number 1 spot.
We got 30 seconds to react, David.
All right, Wendy, no disrespect to you or Bam Adebayo. I do not want to critique the list here too much, but if Karl-Anthony Towns is not a better center than Bam Adebayo this season, the Knicks are in trouble. He needs to be 1 or 1A when it comes to that. And you talk about him and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has averaged 40 points when he's played against Karl-Anthony Towns in the last 3 games. We need Karl-Anthony Towns to be nearer to that top for the Knicks to be who we think they could be when we saw that offense.
I do agree that Karl-Anthony Towns earning his way toward the top of this list is a good sign for the Knicks. But I also think when you look at this list, you've got very different types of centers.
Yeah.
And that matters in this conversation.